Om Namah Pranavartaya Shuddha Jnanaika Nirmalaya Prasantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Sankaram Lokasankaram Arunagirimupetam Satchidanandamurtim Ramanayati Prithivyam Vishrutam Jnanasuryam Gahana Hridaya Vidyam Leelaya Bodhayantam Satatamahamamayam Sadgurum Samsmarami. My humble pranams. Anma Bodham, we stopped at a place last time, the 17th verse. I will just recap that verse and dwell for some time on this verse before proceeding to the other verses. It says, Sada Sarvagatopi Atma na Sarvatra Avabhasate. Sarvagatopi Atma Sarvatra na Avabhasate. Buddhavevava bhaseta swacheshu pratipimbavat, he says. He says, this Atman is pervasive. It is there everywhere. It is present everywhere. But it manifests only in some places. It does not manifest everywhere, but it manifests only in some places. And those places, there is a reflecting medium. Only when there is a reflecting medium, light can also be seen. As I said, there is light everywhere. But unless there is something to gather the light, you do not see the shining of the light there. It manifests. Light manifests when there is a reflecting medium. In this, Adi Shankara says, keep this reflecting medium, which is the buddhi in you, pure, so that the light that shines is bright. You will be able to catch it. And that is the buddhi. This antahkaranam, that is buddhi, is the one that catches the light of consciousness. That is the first evolute. From the unmanifest state, it manifests and it catches. This buddhi catches. It goes through what is known as mahat. Avyaktam, through the mahat becomes vyaktam. The unmanifest light goes through this darkness called mahat. This is all the vasanas that we have gathered, the dark clouds through which this light penetrates, and then it gets reflected in the buddhi. When it gets reflected in the buddhi, from there it gets reflected in the other places also, like mind, the indriyas. And when the indriyas are illumined by this reflected light, mind you, this is reflected light. This reflected light is all we have for our sadhana. What we have is this reflected light. So this light will become brighter and brighter if you keep the buddhi or the manas in a pure manner. Keep it purified. Otherwise, it becomes very, very dull. It will be there all the time. It will be shining all the time. It will be so dull, you will not be able to catch it. Even as it is, we do not even notice it. We do not notice the light, but we notice all those things that are illumined by this light. Goes through the mind, goes through the indriyas. Moment these indriyas are illumined, the entire world is seen. And our mind goes there all the time. So, Buddha Vevava Bhaseta. It shines in the buddhi. And this is an important clue. For our sadhana, we have to remember this. I want to link it up with one Upadesha Saram verse. And together we will understand what is the importance of this. The 16th verse in Upadesha Saram, that is the verse from which the Atma Vicharam begins in Upadesha Saram. Till that time, he is leading up to that. He talks about all other paths and other things, and he gives some preliminary information about Atman and so on. But from the 16th verse onwards, Atma Vicharam as such starts. Drishyavaritam chittam atmanaha chitva darshanam tattva darshanam. Actually, the way in which this verse has to be understood is, Drishyavaritam chittam. Chittam drishyavaritam. That is the first part. The second part is Atmanaschitva darshana. Atmanaschitvam is a single word. Atma's one's own chitvam. What is chitvam? The characteristic of chit is chitvam. Chit is consciousness, light. Chitvam is the characteristic of the chit. He means the light. And in the Tamil Upadeshasaram, this becomes very clear. There he actually makes an open statement about the holy. Manam tan holy ordale undi para, he says. So he says, whatever Shankara says about Buddha Vevava Bhaseta, it is picked up, taught by the Buddhi, and that is the first starting point. That is the starting point of the individuality. When the morning we wake up, the light falls on the Buddhi and the individual sense begins. The one light, through this reflection, becomes many things. It goes through the Buddhi and the mind and other things, all the objects, multitudinous objects, and the whole world comes. That one consciousness gets split in that place. The place where the individual is born. That place where the individual is born is so very special. Bhagavan says, this is the I thought. He says in one of the talks that whatever is shining in the Vijnanamaya Kosham, which is Buddhi, in the Vijnanamaya Kosham, wherever it shines, that place is the I thought, the beginning of your individuality. The I thought does not remain quiet. It cannot remain by itself. The I thought immediately catches hold of this thought. I am this. I have to do this. The I is not self-standing. It's always a composite. It comes in a compound manner all the time. And then our mind goes into the world because the light takes you out and it projects the world outside. So when you look at this verse, the first part is Drishyavaritam. For this to be successful, what is to be successful? Our sadhana. The sadhana is, now we are seeing the world, but who is seeing the world? We retrace our path. Then we come to the I thought that is seeing all these things. But there is something behind this I thought also. Because this I thought is not there with you all the time. Comes and goes. It cannot be real. Bhagavan says, that which comes and goes cannot be real. There is something which is real, which never comes and goes, which is there all the time. Even in the darkness where this I thought itself is not available, also it is there, constantly shining, and it catches hold of that just simple beingness in your deep sleep. And then you are able to wake up and then say, I slept well. There was an entity who knew that he slept well. And he was happy. This feeling of happiness and then feeling of beingness is picked up. It never lost. So this consciousness is there all the time. But in order to reach that, we have only this place where it is shining as I thought. So Bhagavan says the important thing is Drishyavaritam. Unless the mind is turned inwards, it's not possible to proceed. The first and maybe the only requirement, in some place Bhagavan says this also, the only requirement is turning the mind inwards. Unless we are able to do this in a very successful manner and keep it there. Once the mind is turned inwards, don't let it go out. That is the only requirement. Then slowly, this light that is dim in the beginning starts becoming more and more shiny. It becomes more and more bright. We'll be able to trace it to the source. So we are going back into the source of that one consciousness from all this drishyam. Bhagavan says this is important. This is vairagyam. In some place, Bhagavan says that Drishyavaritam Chittam, that is the Vairagyam portion. Then the Abhyasam portion is Atmanas Chitva Darshanam. That is the Abhyasam. I will link it up with a great verse in Bhagavad Gita, which all of us know. Arjuna complains to Bhagavan Krishna, I'm not able to control my mind. It is like a wind. Vayoriva sudushkritam, he says. Like the Vayu that moves all the time, sudushkritam. It's not dushkaram. It's not possible to catch it. Then Lord Krishna agrees with him. So the compassion of the Lord. He says, I agree with you, Arjuna. It is very difficult. It is so consoling for all of us. Asamshayam mahabaho. Asamshayam, doubtless. Without any doubt. It is very difficult to catch the mind. Mano durnigraham chalam. This mind is all the time moving about. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Whatever is Bhagavan mentioning here, in one manner, same thing is said by Bhagavan. Why I am mentioning this is, currently there is a move. A lot of yoga paths are taught. And a lot of gurus come, they teach meditation and other things. The emphasis is always on the mind control, on keeping the mind still. But there is no emphasis on this vairagya. Maybe because once we talk about, you should not do this, you should not do that, you should withdraw the mind, people will not come there. Customer base will be lost. Possible. That's why they do not emphasize upon that. This is something that we should remember. Bhagavan, though in his own case, it looked as though in a very effortless manner he caught this. How much of effort did he make? A few minutes. And he went to the very last ultimate stage and never reverted from that state. Stayed in that place. But he emphasized all the time on the need for efforts. When somebody actually openly asked him, Bhagavan, in your case, you did not do any of these efforts. Bhagavan said, I might have finished them all in my earlier lives. He did not say that the effort was not done by him. So, the effort is something that he has been emphasizing, and this is very important because the new Vedantins, the new class of Vedantins, they say just it's possible. Just you are that. That's it. Be there. That appeals to a lot of people. But this part about Drishyavaritam Chittam, that is something that should not be forgotten. But anyway, the clue that is given by this verse in Anma Bodham is in the buddhi or the mind. Buddhi and mind are interchangeable. You catch this light of the Atman in the buddhi. There is a very specific location that now is available to you. There is a light that is available to you. It is not a dark search that you are making. There is a light. You can keep on increasing the brightness of the light by doing constant Atma Vicharam. It keeps on increasing in its brightness. You can trace that. How to trace that and other things? Be with it. Just be with it. That itself will take you there. It is an express train. Get into the train, but don't get off it. Never get out of the train. Stay with the train. And the destination will be unmistakably known to you. You don't have to ask anybody, have I reached the destination? Because there will be nobody to ask this question at that time. The person who began the journey, that seeker, ultimately disappears. And when he disappears, it is no loss. You should not worry that something that you have been holding very dear has been lost. No. You are gaining the infinite. And that will be unmistakably known to you. So Bhagavan says, this is the place where the first thought, I thought, happens. And that is a very special place. Keep it pure, keep it clean, and then catch hold of it. Keep your attention on this. There are two things that are really required. One is the mind has to be still for you to really see the light clearly. The other part is to catch hold of that light. This light is the consciousness. This is the conscious part, your ego. The conscious part of the ego is this I thought. It is important to catch hold of that and also keep the mind very quiet. Then only you will be able to see this. But between the two, give importance to holding on to the consciousness. Don't worry too much about suppressing the mind. Mind has to be suppressed. Mind has to become still. But that will happen constantly. Automatically it will happen by your constant attention to this conscious part of the ego. So that is the importance of this particular verse from Atma Bodham. So I thought that I would take some time to dwell on this. I will go to the next one, the 18th verse. Dehendriya Manobuddhi Prakritibhyo Vilakshanam. He is giving Atma Lakshanam, continuing to give the Atma Lakshanam. Tad Vritti Sakshinam Vidyat Atmanam Rajavat Sata. He is comparing Atma to a Raja. I will come to that. Bhagavan's translation. Udal Karvi Ullamodu Buddhi Mayai. Mayai. What Bhagavan means by Mayai is that Prakriti that is being used by Adi Shankara. This Mayai nothing but the causal body or that Anandamaya Kosham. From there only the entire world is getting projected, so he calls it as Mayai. Buddhi Mayai. So all the 5 koshas are covered in this. Vida, Veru, Avatrin Vritti. Mayai Vida, Veru. This Atma is different, apart from, it is different from Vilakshanam, says Adi Shankara in his this thing. So, this Atman is distinct from all these 5 koshas. Though he is illumining all the 5 koshas, only because of the Atman, we even know the existence of the mind, we know the existence of the world and other things, but it is not any of these things. It is Vilakshanam. It is distinct. It is quite apart from all these things. So he says here, Bhagavan says, Veru Avatrin Vritti Udane Yavaikume Sakshiyam Yendru Anmavai Avaikku Arasan Pola Ari. Avai is Darbar. A king comes and sits in his Darbar. Like Atma sits in these 5 koshas, a king comes and sits in his Darbar. He doesn't have to do anything at all. The moment he comes and sits, all the various officials around him, they will be doing their job. He really doesn't have to really do anything. If he is a very clever king, he will not interfere with anybody's activity. He will just be there, and his very presence would enthuse, would make all these officials do their jobs, and everything will go on by itself. Because there is a Raja, there is a king sitting there, and he is watching all our activities, everything will go on fine. So he says, this Atma, though he is the one who is illumining everything, he is apart from everything, he is just a Sakshi. He is just a witness. That is the meaning of this verse. Yavaikume Sakshiyam Yendrum Anmavai Avaikku Arasan Pola Ariha, says Bhagavan. Tad Vritti Sakshinam. Vritti here is not thought, but Vritti here is actually action, the function. Sharira Vritti is all the actions of the body. Mano Vritti is the action of the mind, which is thinking. But we normally drop that Mano and then just refer to it as Vritti. So Vritti actually is an action, a function. So here he says, Tad Vritti Sakshinam Vidyat. Understand this Atma to be just a Sakshi. He does not get involved in anything at all. It shines all by itself, though seemingly associated with the 3 sheaths, 3 bodies. He illumines the subtle intellect, grosser thoughts, and still grosser actions of the body. He is illumining all these things. But he is not associated. Atma asangaha. He is not involved in anything. Atma sakshi. This is the Atma Lakshanam that is given here. It's very difficult for us to understand. How can we be just a witness? So what we think is, we should make witnessing into an activity. And now I must witness all my thoughts. We say, close our eye, witness. That is not what is meant. You are making witnessing into an activity, then you are wrong. You are not in the right direction. Then what is the meaning of this witnessing? Witnessing is just lending your presence. You are just there, alert, not going to sleep. You are alert, not involved in anything. You don't even have a thought that I am now looking at this, how these people are going. No, not that way. You are just present there. You are just lending your presence. Nothing more than that. Even when we say this, we will not be able to understand. So we have to go back to Bhagavan's life. How he remained as a Sakshi. A number of instances. One instance happened in the very beginning of his stay in the temple. First few weeks of his stay, or first few months of his stay in the temple. He was sitting in the Northern Gopuram. He used to go from one place to the other place, Vahana Mandapam in the temple. I believe he, at one point in time, he went to a tamarind grove. I was sitting there near the Northern Gopuram. Number of tamarind trees, and it offered some kind of a seclusion. So he was sitting there. Two thieves came there. They wanted to steal the tamarinds. They came. And they were not expecting anybody to be there at that place. And suddenly they found the boy sitting there with his eyes open like this. He was just with open eyes, he was just sitting there. What he was doing there, they didn't know. And one of the thieves was rattled so much, he told the other person, this fellow will identify us later. So let us put some cactus milk in his eyes, because I believe it has the ability to blind anybody. Let us put some cactus milk in his eyes. Bhagavan was watching this. That is Sakshi. Did not close his eyes. Did not get up and then leave that place. Absolutely no reaction. No reaction. He talked about this incident nearly 40 years later on. Just casually. I was sitting and this what happened. Did not close his eyes. He was just looking at. The other thief must have done a lot of punyam in his life. So he said, he is not doing anything. Let us leave him alone. Let us mind the business for which we came. Let us take these things and then go away. Let us leave him alone. He is spared. Bhagavan's those great eyes for us, for our sake. This is Sakshi. The Sakshi Bhavam is this. This is what it means. There was a recording going on at the corner of his consciousness. This is also registered. But he did not react in any manner because there was no person behind those eyes. It was an impersonal being that was sitting there. There was no person. If there was a person, then all the reactions would have come. Then another incident in Bhagavan's life happened much later. All of you know that there was an attendant by name Perumal Swami who was very close to him. But Perumal Swami was very upset and disappointed with Bhagavan when he was not made the manager of the ashram. And Niranjanananda Swami was made the ashram sarvadhikari. He was so bitter, he started doing all kinds of mischiefs to the extent of, he filing a court case against Bhagavan saying that he is a sannyasi He should not own any property. When he does not have a property, how can he will it to somebody? Or say that he is going to be the one who is going to manage this. Everything is wrong. Like that, he filed a case. Case came for hearing, and the Tiruvannamalai civil court also issued a summon. Someone came to the ashram. Bhagavan had to appear on so and so day in the morning in the civil court in Tiruvannamalai. That was the summons from the court, British court. There was a great devotee of Bhagavan who is from the British aristocracy by name Douglas Ainsley. He also had another name by name Grant Duff. He was known as Grant Duff. Douglas Ainsley. There is a beautiful article written by Douglas Ainsley in the Golden Jubilee Souvenir, worth reading. His impressions of Bhagavan from the British aristocrat. Anyway, when he was in Bombay, he happened to look at a newspaper item, a small eyes fell on that. In the ashram, there was a lot of commotion. Should Bhagavan go? How can they send a summons to Bhagavan? On a very frivolous case, how can he be asked to go? All the discussions, everything was going on. It was a very tense time for the ashram at that time. Meanwhile, this gentleman saw this news item sitting in Bombay. His uncle was at that time the governor of Ceylon. Right now it is Sri Lanka, Ceylon. He was the governor general or governor, I don't know what it is. Some Lord Erskine, I think. So he cabled, those days there's no telephone, he cabled. He sent a cable to his uncle saying that he is a very holy person. And it will be a very, very wrong thing for the British Raj to summon him to the court. It will be a very wrong thing, and there's absolutely no substance behind this court case. I know that fully. All that he explained to him, please stop this. Ultimately, he seems to have done something with the British Viceroy in Delhi, and then he sent something back, and finally it all came. All this was going on in the background. But the ashram, next day was the day that Bhagavan was to appear before the court. In the hall, people were discussing this in the night in front of Bhagavan. Heated discussions. Bhagavan was just in his usual absorbed self, looking in the space, no expression on his face. He was just listening to all the conversation, as though they are talking about somebody else. Next day morning, he had to go to the court as a common criminal to give his deposition. Anyway, there was a person who normally takes the post. In those days, it used to be called as tapal. The tapal will be picked up from the post office by this person by name Raja Iyer. He used to go and then pick up the tapal and every day bring it, both the morning as well as the evening. Evening post also came and there was absolutely no news. And so next day was the D-Day. And there was this great anxiety, agitation in those people there. They were all discussing very agitated manner. This man was also there in the hall, maybe around 8 o'clock. If the dinner was over, they were all there. Going on, Bhagavan was in his usual self. He was idly fiddling with his bag. And he suddenly found that something was there in the bag. It happened to be a very thin envelope. When he pulled out all the tapal, it was not taken out. It was just stuck there in the bag. The night at about 9 o'clock, his hand found it. He took it out, and it happened to be a cover from the government. And what it said was this, that he need not go to the court will come to him to examine him. The British government has employed a commission, the lawyers of both sides, and the sub-magistrate can go and then examine Bhagavan. When the cover was found, there was jubilation all around. Everybody was congratulating each other. They were all very happy. Even at that time, there was absolutely no change. Mukharagam samam. Now, these are words that Kalidasa uses about Lord Rama. Kalidasa has also written Ramayanam through his Raghuvamsha Kavyam. There is one chapter, and that Sargam is Ramayana, right from the beginning to the end, starting from Dasharatha deciding to give the kingdom to Lord Rama. It begins with that. Beautiful. Each one verse is just remarkable. And this verse stuck in my mind. I read it as a student in my school days. This is a beautiful slokam where Lord Rama is to be coronated. So he is in his regal attire, about to go to that coronation hall. But at that time, as someone's comes from Kaikeyi, Dasharatha, people come and tell him that your father wants you. So he goes to the palace. There Kaikeyi is there. Kaikeyi is telling him, told Rama, your father wants you to go to the forest for 14 years now. This is your father's wish. The only comment from Rama was at that time, mother, why are you saying that father wants you to go? Even if he had told me to go, I would have gone. If you had told me that you have to go to the forest, I would have gone. That was the only comment from Rama at that time. And then immediately he decides and he changes into that. No, they have that bark of a tree made into a dress kind of a thing. One has to wear that. So all that regal attire is taken out by him and he wears this and comes out. And people are waiting. People of Ayodhya are just waiting there to see because he's going to be coronated. So they were shocked and stunned to see him coming out in that attire. So Kalidasa says here, Dadhatau Mangalakchaume. Mangalakchaumam is that auspicious, that regal attire that he was wearing when he went into the palace. When he came out like a Muni Kumara. Taken out everything and then it was just the barks of a tree worn as a dress. Vasanasya cha valkale. Valkalam is this tree. Vasanasya cha valkale. That Dadrusuhu vismitastasya mukharagam samam janaha. He was smiling. Lord Rama was smiling. It did not matter to him. He was just a sakshi to the whole thing. Becoming a king was also the same. And going for 14 years to the forest was also the same thing to him. So he says, Kalidasa says, Dadrisuhu vismitaha. They were so stunned. Vismitastasya mukharagam samam janaha. Similarly, Bhagavan's mukharagam did not change. He was just a sakshi. Unless we know these life incidents, it's not possible for us to really even imagine. How can one be a sakshi to all these things? When good things happen, maybe somehow or the other we may be able to be a sakshi. Maybe even there. It's a very doubtful thing, but when a bad thing happens, reactions will come out if there is a person inside. There was absolutely nobody inside. So this is the sakshitvam. Tad vritti sakshinam vidyat atmanam rajavat sada. So Bhagavan being Atman himself, like a Raja, he just observed the whole thing and no function, nothing touched it. That was the state. In Upadesa Sahasri, a very similar thing is there, said by Adi Shankara. The same words Adi Shankara uses, Rajavat, Sakshimatratvat, Sanidhyat, Brahmako yata. Brahmaka is somebody who makes things move around. Generally, you use this word for a magnet because magnet makes you move around. Brahmako yata. Brahmayan Jagadatmaham Nishkriyo Akarako Advayaha. Nishkriyaha, I am Nishkriya. I don't do anything at all. In my presence, things go on, but I don't do anything. Akarakaha, I don't do anything at all. I am not the Karta. Advayaha, I am that one non-dual conscious self. This is what Upadesa Sahasri says. Sakshimatratvat, Sannidhyat. So here comes the word Sannidhyam, the presence. Sakshimatram means Sannidhyam. You lend your presence, you are just present there. And this Sakshitvam is not an activity. The witnessing is not an activity. But these things happen and you are also present at that time. In your presence, all these things happen. It's another thing that only because of your presence, things are moving on. Without your presence, nothing will happen. But that presence alone is there. Bhagavan used to say, when people used to attribute miracles to Bhagavan, Bhagavan says, no, I didn't do anything at all. So somebody asked him, Bhagavan, why don't you give moksha to us? A jnani cannot have any sankalpam. Bhagavan said, jnani cannot have a sankalpam. He cannot say that, I want my devotee to get moksha. If he says that, he is not a jnani. Even this sankalpam should not be there in his mind. Then this man cried, Ayo Bhagavan, if that is the case, then what will happen to us? Without your grace, without your help, it is not possible for us to do anything at all. But you are saying that you don't have any sankalpam, then what will happen to us? Then it seems Bhagavan said, a jnani has no sankalpam, but in his presence, good things will happen. He completely dissociated himself from everything that was happening. The presence of a jnani does all these things. It's like an office, separated out from the manager. The office will take care of everything. The manager himself does not do anything. Bhagavan's reply was like that. My sannidhi will take care of everything. My presence. So, here, this is what it says. Sannidhyat Brahmako yata. Brahmaka is one who spins. Generally, it is a magnet. Interestingly, this word Brahmaka is also used for a cheat in Sanskrit. Somebody who cheats you, who deceives you, is also a Brahmaka because he makes your head spin. That's why they say that Brahmakaha can be a magnet, it can be somebody like this, a cheat or some such thing. Anyway, that is not important. Brahmako yata, just like a magnet making things move, but magnet does not move. Magnet is also not aware of the fact that there is an iron filing that I am attracting. It's just there. Kantam irumbu bol kavarndu, says Bhagavan. Alandi anodi rupaya arunachala. So, sannidhyat brahmako yata brahmayanne jagat atmaham nishkriyo akarako advayaha, says Upadesha Sahasri. But this is the shloka that talks about the Atma Lakshanam, which is asangaha, atmaha, nishkriyaha, asangaha. It does not do anything at all. So that is what is emphasized in this. I think I will have a time for one more verse. The 19th verse. Vyapriteshu indriyeshu atma vyapariva avivekinam drishyate abhreshu dhavatsu dhavanniva yatha shashi. கருவிகளின் தொழில் கண்டு அவிவேகி கர்த்தன் போன்று ஆன்மாவை காண்பன் துரிதமாய் ஓடும் மேகம் கண்டு உணர்விலி சந்திரனே ஓடுகிறான் என்பதை ஒத்தது. Another metaphor, a beautiful metaphor. What this metaphor says is vyapriteshu indriyeshu. In the last verse, the word vritti was used for the function. Vyapritam is also the same thing. Vyapriteshu. When the indriyas are functioning, when all the senses are operational, vyapreshu indriyeshu atma vyapariva avivekinam. It looks as though the Atman itself is engaging in all these activities, while the Indriyas are the ones that are doing it. The Atma does not do anything at all. But these Indriyas, which are kindled, inspired by the Atman, the presence of the Atman, they are engaging in various activities. Mind is thinking, the leg is moving, the arm is spinning. All these activities of the Indriyas, Karmendriyas, Jnanendriyas, the Manas, all these things are induced, inspired by the Atman. But the Aviveki, somebody who does not have an inkling of what is going on, he thinks that I am doing this. My eyes are seeing. My ears are hearing. This kind of a conclusion wrongly one leaches, and he is called as an Aviveki. He does not have a normal wisdom to understand what is what. He does not know what is Atman, what is Anatman. So he is mixing up the Anatman and the Atman. When the Atman does not move, but the Indriyas are running, they are running after so many things in this world. In all this running Indriyas, Vyapriteshu, Indriyeshu, Atma, Vyapari, he is the one who, Vyapari here, not a businessman, Vyapari is one who is engaged in these activities, who is functioning through these Indriyas. Vyapari va avivekinam drishyate abhreshu dhavatsu. Abhram is the Chidakasham, the Akasham. Abhreshu, in the sky. In the sky you see moon, and the moon is covered with clouds, but these clouds are running in one direction. So, as a child, when we look at this, we find that the moon itself is moving very fast. It is running very fast in the opposite direction because the clouds are moving in this direction. So, a baby would conclude that the moon is moving. Moon is really running very fast. That's the conclusion that a baby reaches. You know, when there is a moving train and all the sceneries are going in the opposite direction, children normally are fascinated by that scenery because no, they see so many trees moving in this direction. Not knowing this is a train that is moving and whatever is outside is just stationary. Similarly, here, Aviveki. Actually, Bhagavan uses two words. He uses in one sentence Aviveki and another sentence Unarvili. He says, Karuvigalin Todil Kandu Aviveki, Karuttan Pondru Atmavai Kanban, Duritama Vodum, Mehang Kandu, Unarvili. Again, once more, he uses another word for somebody who is not wise, who does not have the enough maturity or the wisdom or the knowledge to understand what is what. Unarvili Chandrane Odhiran in Pade Ottadu. So the movement of the Indriyas are confused with the movement of the Atman. Each one of these things try to tell you in our daily life what kind of an attitude we should really develop. I am seeing, I am perceiving. This is our normal thing. We are not able to get rid of this feeling at all. I am the one who is experiencing. Experiences happen. And the one that is actually experiencing is somebody different. Because of him, experiences happen, but he is absolutely not involved in any of these activities. That should be the kind of attitude we should develop so that this becomes, our aids our sadhana, so that all the ignorance can be chipped off one by one by remembering all these things. There is absolutely no movement in the Atman. Inside there is no movement at all. It is there. Everything that happens is happening on the body, on the mind. And when the body is moving, the Atman is not moving. Body may go from one place to the other place, but the Atman is in only one place. There's no movement of the Atman. That is why he is also known as Kutastha. There is a word used in the Vedantic parlance for the Atman, and that is Kutastha. Kuta actually means an anvil. People who do hammering and other things, they have an unmoving base onto which this moving things, the tool, it's a tool which does not move at all. And then on that you keep on changing every one of the objects that you want to really hammer. You heat it up and then hammer, you forge things and so on. All these things are happening. So he is called as the Kutastha. Kutastha is a word that is very often used in the other Vedantic works like Panchadashi of Vidyaranya Swami. Kutastha is a word that is used. You should not feel confused. They are referring to the Atman. They are referring to this particular aspect of Atman, which is non-moving nature of the Atman. It is there just by itself. And everything around him moves, but he does not move at all. This is the meaning of this verse. With this, I will conclude today's thing. Thank you very much.